When was the last time you were asked about Multan? 5 minutes ago? 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, no. Just telling people that every time I answered the question about Multan, I got a rupee, I would be a multi-millionaire. So...
just for the sake of everyone wondering what you're talking about, Multan was the 194 declaration.
I would think you didn't need to mention that. This is an audience you've just talked up at the start. Look, I mean, when you have 16 years together as me and Sachin have had, sure, there are going to be times when
Was it that long, 16?
Yeah, I mean, 16 years together as players. There are going to be times when you're going to have the odd, I guess, disagreement, or you're going to agree to disagree, and that's going to happen, and that's part of, I guess, being a cricketer in a high-pressure environment, playing for your country, trying to do your best. But I think along the way there are also some really good memories, and there are really some really good moments. And the fact that we can sit here today and we're still friends after 16 years, at least for me. I mean, I know that. I'd like to believe that there's that.
I think so too.
I guess that no. At least for you, Jam. No, I think. Let me tell you, there are so many disagreements that we have in the dressing room. It just happens so behind the closed doors, and the whole world doesn't get to see all those things. This one happened on the field, but that doesn't mean that we are fighting and we are not talking to each other. I mean, we sort of closed that chapter immediately, and we've had many match-winning partnerships after that. And above all, Jam and I continue to be good friends. So I think that is what really matters. Disagreements, I mean, each and every cricketer sitting here in this room would have had some stage in his life. It just so that this happened,
I'm sure that, yeah.
I think the greatest thing for me on that particular day is obviously, I had a conversation with Sachin before the day started, and we discussed it and what might have happened. But the end of the day, and I think the abiding memory for me in that particular test match is me giving Sachin Tendulkar the ball on the last day that day to bowl and over, and he got Moin Khan out, and we walked off as a team celebrating that wicket, and for me that was what it was all about. India on the verge of an historic test win, winning a test match in Pakistan for the first time. And Sachin being able to sort of forget all of that and focus on what was the most important thing, as he's done so many often in his career, which is try and win test matches for India, and with the ball, and just to see that joyful glee. And for us as a team to be able to celebrate that, for me as a captain that day was just brilliant.
So in a sense, you took the wicket that justified the declaration.
No, I mean, but Jam stopped me the next morning. I only bowled 1 over. Jam, come on.
This was the next day after the... yes.
Yeah, just to add on that, Arsha, I think for me the most memorable part of that journey was, while there were agreements or disagreements, everything was for the benefit of the team. And that's why I think we were all able to achieve a lot of success, not only in India, but even overseas. And all of us, not only 4 of us, but the team which played during that time, took a lot of pride in playing for the country. And I think what was important is when we went out there in the middle, it was not a competition amongst ourselves, but a competition against the opposition. We wanted to do well against the opposition. So I think that is the most important thing.
So Saurav, when only one of you had to open the batting in one-day cricket, how did you resolve that? When only one of you could go out to open the batting?
It was he who had to open. I had to bat somewhere else. And I've done that 3, 4, 5. He would open and I bat somewhere else.
Yeah, I batted a couple of times. I batted 4, right?
Yes, we did. I have done as well, he's done as well.
You had to always take strike also.
But one good thing is that, I had?
Always to take strike as well.
I did one thing, I remember taking strike, I wasn't scoring runs. So I came up and told him, Sach, can you take strike? I'm just struggling just to change the luck, 2 or 3 games. He said, no, I never done that, you do it. So I said, fine, I'll do it. I was captain then. I was the only captain. I was the only captain who had to ask from my players, can I do this? And no, it's true. So we both walked out. I was pretty annoyed. I said, come on, for one day you can do it. But I didn't say anything. We walked up. We both went past each other, and I just went and stood at the non-striker end. And then just find your place wherever you want to bat. So he went and took guard at the other end and played the first ball.
And took a single first ball, right?
I can't remember what happened. No, I think he got some runs.
Which team is this?
I think the problem is when he took strike for India. I
think
the problem, it was against Pakistan, I think. I wasn't scoring runs.
There have been times, in fact, I remember we were playing in Guwahati, and I was batting with Dada. Shoaib bowls a short pitch ball where, about 5-7 feet away from me, it swings a little bit and gets in my rib cage. And I am struggling, honestly. I mean, I only discovered later that I had fractured my rib. And I am recovering. And Dada is saying, "Tu champion hai re, tu champion." I said, I can't talk. So I am struggling to talk. I've broken my rib. And he said, "Tu champion hai, tu khelega." I said, "Let me recover."
Now, you wanted to open the batting in the 2003 World Cup, and he wanted to open the batting in the 2003 World Cup as well. So how did you resolve that?
It got resolved. You saw on TV who batted at number 3, didn't you?
But
you're still asking that question.
The first couple of practice matches, I batted 4.
It's all practice matches because he was never up for practice matches.
There is a reference in the book to him batting at 3 or 4 in the warm-up games, and expressing a desire to open the batting in the main World Cup.
Is it who's Sachin's desire? It's always been the desire. And any time you asked him to bat at 4, he will tell you, "I'll do it, but I'm better off opening."
But you let him bat at 4 in the NatWest Trophy.
Yeah, I did a few times and we requested him. Even in the World Cup, Anil came, in the practice matches we had decided that he'll bat at number 4. Anil came before the start of the tournament and said, "If we have to do well, we need runs at the top." And he felt that the best way was to get him to open, and that's when we decided that we'll open. John Wright was there with his tongue half out, still not agreeing to it that he should open. But he opened and he had a great World Cup.
Two of you had another very interesting partnership together. Not at Sydney, where you put on 353 together, but in a game where scoring 100 was difficult. And that was Mumbai 2004, when he was barely able to grip the bat because the elbow had started to come up again. And both of you put on 100 runs?
In fact, yesterday I was telling that was probably, apart from the Sydney 300-run partnership, the one at Wankhede and the one at Eden Gardens in 2002 against West Indies in the second innings. He got 100, I got 100. But we saved the test match. If we wouldn't have had that partnership, we would have probably lost the test match. I think, Wankhede was probably the worst wicket. I don't think so there was a wicket, in fact.
We are in Mumbai.
Doesn't matter, but I don't think so that there was a wicket, because the match finished in 2.5 days. The first day hardly there was any game played, but I think more than that partnership, the way we played in that partnership was important. Even on the wicket where stroke play was difficult, both of us were getting boundaries and we were able to dominate the Australian bowling attack. So I think for me, I've always mentioned that is a match winning or a match saving partnership is more important than just having numbers. I think that partnership was very memorable.
Am I allowed to take some credit for that as well, for making Lakshman bat at 3 in that innings and batting lower down?
And you thought Rahul Dravid is this good boy, right? Go on. You sent him up as...
No, I think, we promoted Lax because I was batting and they saw that wicket was really turning.
So you thought you brought the
much better. I mean,
I know you don't want to put it that way, but it seems that way. The wicket was turning, so I sent him up.
Yeah, so I'll bat lower down when it turns more. No, because I just felt we needed someone who could play positively, and I was going to go out there and try and block the hell out of it. So at least Lax would go and play positively, play some shots along with Sachin. And it was a brilliant partnership, and it's a great test match to win because defending 104 in the last innings, it was an incredible test match, and they added that partnership was the one that changed the game.
There's a lot of talk in the book about the atmosphere in the team. A lot of you seem to place a lot of store on atmosphere in the team, and you talk about how it was when John Wright was the coach, and how it was when Gary Kirsten was the coach, and how it was therefore when Greg Chappell was the coach. Does that make such a difference? Because finally when you go out onto the field, it's you, right? So did that make such a difference that a coach could ensure, VVS talks about coming in 2006 into the side and seeing the atmosphere was completely different? Does that make such a difference?
It does, because in the end, when you're going out to bat, you want to go with a relaxed frame of mind, because already there's so much of expectation from you. You're having a huge responsibility. You're representing the entire country. And I've always maintained cricket is not just a sport. It's a religion in our country. It's a passion for each and every Indian. So already there's a lot of, not pressure, but expectations. So when you go out, you have to go with a relaxed frame of mind. Only then can you actually go out and play with a free mind, because cricket ultimately is a game where you have to enjoy. It is a sport. And it's not a job or it's not a profession. So until and unless you're not enjoying that, you will not be able to play to your potential. So I always respected that. And there were times, when, especially during 2006, it was definitely the toughest period for me, as far as the dressing room atmosphere is concerned.
Sachin, you write in the book about saying that you didn't want Chappell with you in the 2007 World Cup. You've mentioned in the book that you would have been better off if you'd not been there in the 2007 World Cup.
Yeah, I've written that in my book, and the only reason I felt was I agree with Lakshman that the atmosphere could have been better. It wasn't a healthy atmosphere. The atmosphere has to be such in the dressing room where it brings the best out of you in the middle. And I felt that wasn't happening, and then the environment was very negative, I felt, and it was just a downfall from there on. So I thought maybe, if we travel without that, it would definitely change the atmosphere in the dressing room. And I also said that we senior players are willing to take all the responsibility and will manage the team.
Was 2007 the lowest point for all four of you, or were there others?
I guess when you play 16 years or 20 years of first-class cricket, you're going to find a lot of ups and downs. I mean, if I were to look at my career over, I guess, the 20 years that I played first-class cricket in, there were some really good moments, and there were some tough moments. And 2007, for me, especially as a captain, was a really tough moment. It was a really difficult time as well for me, just in terms of not qualifying for the World Cup. But I guess 7 years later, when you move on from a lot of these things, you realize that there are also some pretty good times that you've had, and there are some ups and there's some downs, and that's the way sport is, and that's the way, I guess, life is.
Was it for you the lowest point as well? 2007?
Yeah, not qualifying for the World Cup was very, very disappointing, because I didn't know whether I would make it to the World Cup in 2007. And then when I did, I thought we had a great side to get to the end. Unfortunately, we didn't. I think we had the strongest side in 2007 for the World Cup in the West Indies, but obviously couldn't win. But we had some good things happening after that, winning in England when Rahul was captain, those test series after 25, 26 years. And it really felt good, because yes, World Cup's good, it's one-day cricket, but going away and winning in England and in those conditions was very, very satisfying. So we had tough times, we had some good times, but then as Rahul said, it was tough. It was probably toughest for me, but that's the way it goes.
There's a lot in the book about these four people playing cricket together, and that's one of the more enjoyable things. We've all watched it from, is it not bad, is it? Well played. Sachin, I'm afraid you're going to have to sit on, because it's your book after all. But I'm going to invite two other people now who feature in the book a great deal. If you look upon it as a blockbuster movie, there's always the wife, and there's always the doting elder brother. The elder brother can do no wrong in the movies, right? And I think in this story, the elder brother can do no wrong as well. And I think as you read the book, the person who comes out really strongly, solid behind the scenes, but there at all times, is Ajit Tendulkar. How many hours have both of you spent talking batting? Sachin, how many hours have the two of you spent talking batting?
Well, even after my last innings, we spent talking about how I got out and those kind of things. But, over the years, we've discussed more and more, I would say. There were more and more things to talk about, and various pressures, like even Rahul mentioned, and all the guys, all three mentioned that playing at international level, you have a lot of pressure. You have people expecting something special from you. And for that, I needed strong support. And then that support was Ajit.
There was another support as well. She was wearing a little orange top when she first saw this 17-year-old. 17, huh? 17-year-old. Just imagine, what were you doing when you were 17? She saw this guy, and 17-year-old at an airport, and said, right, that's the man. Anjali? What were you doing going after a 17-year-old?
Okay, first let me say one thing. Sachin often tells me, just once I want to put you in the middle of a cricket field with, thousands of people around screaming and get somebody to bowl fast at you. For me, this is equivalent to that, this level of stress talking in front of everyone. And you asked me about...
17. I mean, there you are, he's a 17-year-old kid.
Okay, I didn't know he was 17 or what.
He looked 12.
I didn't even know who he was.
You didn't know who he was?
I didn't know. My friend is here, Aparna. She was with me when I went.
And she said, "Shh, Sachin."
No, she told me, "Don't you know this is the wonder boy of Indian cricket?" And
wonder boy.
He's just scored 100, youngest Indian to score 100. I didn't care what he was, who he was. I had no interest in cricket. I saw him. I thought he was really cute.
I didn't have any interest in medicine either.
And I ran after him.
And you ran after him. Did you just say that? Did I just hear you say that?
We were in those days at the airport. There was a viewing gallery, so I was actually looking for my mum, who was supposed to have landed from England.
Oh, you planned it that way?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I just saw him and I told Aparna, "Who's this guy? He's so cute." And then I forgot about my mother. We ran down and I ran after him like screaming, "Sachin, Sachin!" Yeah, it's so cute.
You forgot about your mother. She's sitting there. Did she forget about you?
And the funny thing is, Ajit and Nitin were there with him, and Sachin was so embarrassed that this girl is, running after me and screaming my name. So he was only looking down. He didn't even look at me. He like quietly looked down and got into the car.
The only thing I looked was the color of her t-shirt.
Which was orange.
Which he remembered when I met him for the first time.
And I thought you were going to wear orange today. And then you picked up the phone and called him.
Well, now I was studying medicine. I was in my final year, so I go to college the next day, and by then I had been told he's a cricketer. And my friend Mufi, he was studying medicine with me, but he also used to play cricket. I caught him. I said, "Mufi, you have to do one thing for me in this. You have to get me this Sachin Tendulkar's number." So his cousin was their mother. He got me the number, and see, this is what I say is destiny. I called Sachin, and Sachin never used to pick up the phone. In those days, there were no mobiles, nothing. But that day, he picked up the phone. And I said, "Hi, my name is Anjali. You don't know who I am. I saw you at the airport yesterday and all." He said, yeah, I remember. I saw you. I said, what was I wearing? He said, "Yeah, you were wearing an orange t-shirt." So then I know that, yes, he had noticed me.
I said orange t-shirt.
So that's, destiny.
Destiny that you picked up the phone and called him.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like destiny to me.
But before that also, a couple of times we were sort of meant to meet. When he had gone with the Star Cricket Club to England, I was in England, and somebody there, my uncle told me, "Come, there's this, Indian team is there, and they'll feel so happy to see another Indian girl. Why don't you come and meet them?" And I said, "I'm not interested in cricket. I don't want to come," so I didn't go. The other time, when he scored his 100, I was in England, and my dad said, come, you have to see this boy Sachin. He scored the youngest player to score 100. And I said, "But Daddy, I'm not interested in cricket. I don't want to see this boy." So there were two other times when if I had seen him, it might have happened. I might have been chasing a 15-year-old instead.
And I thought this is going to be a difficult conversation. Do you realize you're just stroking it beautifully off the front foot? And do you know who was most hassled by all this? Was still a fairly young man who wanted Sachin Tendulkar to become the best cricketer in the world. And there was this woman. When you first took him to Ramakant Achrekar, and Ramakant Achrekar said, "Bring him back later," you took him back again. Was it just love? My brother, please take a look at my brother? Or did you think that time, "Kaitari aahe special"?
Of course, talent first, because before taking him to I had watched him in the society where he used to play in the playground, and I was convinced of that, and that's the reason I took him to Achrekar sir. At that age, it's very little to decide, what the talent is, because you don't look at it from technical point of view or something. But I think bowler is always posing a question to you, and you have to answer. Batsman has to have answer. And Sachin always had answer for every question being posed to him.
What I found interesting was he went to the coach and said, "Just pretend that you're not looking because he's under stress if you watch him bat."
Yeah, obviously, because he was used to not being watched by anyone, except I used to watch him from the
my balcony and not directly. So I knew that he could be under a lot of pressure. Everything was new to him. He wasn't even having his own pads or bat or gloves. I think bat he was using was a tennis ball, tennis cricket bat.
You had a little Kashmir willow bat.
My sister had gone to Kashmir, and she had brought me one DSC bat. I still remember a tennis ball bat. So I used that for quite some time, and then.
Yeah. Then what's your side of the story? Did you know that he had quietly told the coach, pretend not to watch so that he feels relieved?
No, I had no idea. I absolutely had no clue. I was just told that get in the nets again, bat the way you like, feel free to do whatever you want. But I had no idea that he had gone and he had requested Achrekar sir that, please give him another chance. And this time you don't stand behind the net.
Because he had never played with the hard ball, and in the compound he was used to play the aerial shot because it was safer to do that. Because there are a lot of trees around and then you don't get caught. So he tried doing that there, but it took some time basically.
What I find fascinating about this story, and it's mentioned in the book as you go along, that Ajit Tendulkar was a club cricketer. A lot of us are club cricketers. And having been one, I know how much you know as a club cricketer. And yet here was a club cricketer advising the world's finest batsman on how to bat. I mean,
but at that time he wasn't finest.
Even after he did, I'm fascinated by the story of the 241 in Sydney that we spoke to VVS about. It was your suggestion that he doesn't play the shot that's getting him out.
Well, the way he got out, he got out in a different manner every time he went out. So there was nothing basically I could have spoken to him about the technique part of it. Because if you get out in a same fashion, then you can really say this particular fault because of which you are getting out. And secondly, I thought it was playing on his mind that the quicker the runs come, the better. And he was going for that little aggression. He is a type of batsman who, according to me, who would first think of scoring run rather than defending the ball. He would first think of getting the run. And if the ball is too good, then only he will block it. At that time, I thought more than the technique, that strategy was to spend as much time as he can at the pace. And then slowly the runs will come. Yeah. But later on, what he did, of avoiding the playing shots on the offside was entirely his strategy.
He threw you a challenge, didn't he? You had a long telephone conversation before that Sydney test, and he threw you a challenge about not getting out.
I was not in the right frame of mind. I was batting really well, and something which kept getting me out was, I was going in the overdrive, and I decided that, this match I'm not going to go in that overdrive gear at all. Come what may, I'm batting 100 runs or 200 runs, whatever, I'm not going to play certain shots. And I felt Australian strategy was to bowl away from me and make me play away from the body. And that is how in Melbourne I got out. Melbourne, in the first innings I got out, the first ball down the leg, got behind to Brett Lee. But in the second innings I was batting really well, and then the strategy by Australians was to bowl away, and I went for a big drive, where the ball wasn't there to be driven, but I still went for it. So I sat back, I had a nice chat with John Wright, I spoke to him for quite some time over the phone. And one thing he told me was, the bowlers are not getting you out. There hasn't been a single good ball where you can say, okay, fine, you couldn't do much about it. It's just your shot selection. So be patient, don't look at the scoreboard, just play session by session. And I went a step further and I said, okay, which was the last shot that I played which got me out? Cover drive. And it had happened earlier test match as well. So I said, I'm going to cut this shot. And the last challenge he threw me was, try and be not out in this test match. So in both the innings I batted, I scored I think 241 not out and 59 or 60 not out in the second innings. So that was one thing which helped me, because I had to completely change my game plan and control my natural instincts, because if Damian Martin is bowling, then how can you not play a cover drive?
On page 165, Ajit, you're back again.
Oh yeah, at least I score 100.
You didn't allow him to eat something. He just wanted to have duck. He likes duck and you didn't let him eat.
Oh, this was before the World Cup, I think, 99 World Cup. I happened to be in Brighton there. And I had read some time back that there were some 3 English players who had gone to a restaurant and ordered duck. And next day, I think all 3 got out on 0.
So that was the reason I was not allowed to have duck. You can't have duck.
It was playing on my mind, and I was suggesting all different types of dishes. That go for this. Why not go for this? This must be more tasty. But it just didn't happen. But fortunately, did not get out on 0. Scored some 30 odd runs. So.
But he didn't get out on 0 because he didn't eat the duck.
Whole meal was planned around aromatic duck. I thought, let's go for Chinese and have this aromatic duck and all that. And I go to order duck, and he says, no duck tonight. So.
Food is a recurrent motive in this family, right? It's all about food in this family. Tell us, you also write in the book about going to the same restaurant in Sydney every day and eating the same food every day. Order the same things at the same table, and you thought that it was his great batting skill that got all the runs.
Yes, I did that. In fact, Ajit Agarkar is sitting right here in front of me. And
I have seen the 2 of you once
Ajit
demolish
was also
a plate of crabs.
There, because I was batting, first day I was batting 55 or 60 something. I said, I'm batting well and everything has gone well. I'm not going to change anything. So I went for a nice meal. I said, let's go out. So I don't stay in the room. So my mind is not constantly thinking about how I'm going to bat tomorrow, because I needed to switch off a little bit, back off a little bit. So we went for a nice Malaysian meal, and beautiful, delicious curry and fried rice and all sorts of things came on the table and all that. Next day I was batting 160
Plenty.
or something like that. So I said, Ajit, we are not deciding where we have to go. We are going for Malaysian. We are not going anywhere else. So the second evening also we ended up going there, and I was again, batting. I scored 241 whatever. I said, but second innings I still have to bat. So let's go there. We ended up going 3 times, and then the last time actually the waiter just looked at us. He said, I know what to get, don't worry.
We've run a little ahead of the script though, because it didn't quite end that quickly with Anjali and Sachin. Now here's a medical student who pretended to be a journalist.
The first time Sachin wanted me to come to his house, he was a bit, hesitant, like, you're a girl and how can you come to my house, and also...
You're a girl, how can you come to my house? Ask Virat Kohli that. Yeah.
So he came up with this plan. He said, I'll tell everyone at home that you're a journalist. So you pretend that you're a journalist. I said, fine, whatever you tell me to do, I'll come. So I went to his house, like, nicely dressed in a salwar kameez.
Nicely dressed in salwar kameez. Do journalists go to people's house nicely dressed like that? Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't know that, poor chap was so tense, and I think sister-in-law was there, and, they were like peeping. No female journalist had ever come like this to the house before to, interview him, so they were peeping at me from the curtain, and he had this one chocolate which he cut into little bits and he gave it to me. But that was the first time I ever went to his house.
You wrote letters to him?